So we come to our end of the creation story by looking at the Garden of Eden. This idea that after God was done creation, after those 6 days, is that statement of he saw everything he made and it was very good. And if we look at the garden, there's this really beautiful picture of life always existing in perpetual. Meaning, there is no death, there is no destruction. The animals ate grass, humanity ate fruit, and they lived together in harmony. There was never a picture in this garden of rain or of destruction. It is just this beautiful, peaceful place. Man does not have to toil for his food. It is simply provided for him. And this provision also becomes this statement of equality. So notice in Genesis 1 that humanity is created male and female. There's no distinction as though one has authority over the other. It demands this equality of both masculine and feminine in order to be made in the image of God. And then in Genesis 2, the woman is taken from Adam's side or rib, not from his feet to indicate she was below him, not from his head to indicate she was above him, but from his side. And this is an important idea for us as we talk about how we view equal rights, man and woman, because at original creation there's 100% inequality. And this further goes by the fact that all through this story, Adam is naming the animals. And naming was a position of authority. But when Eve comes forward from his side, he does not name her. It simply says, "This is woman, for she came from man." But there isn't a naming, no position of authority. This gorgeous image of equality is all a part of the Garden of Eden. Maybe even cooler, although we don't think of it quite that way, is this idea that it reads like God just walked with them. That God's home was with them. And so this really cool image of the unity of creation. This idea that there's equality, God's presence, this peacefulness. Oh man, when I read this story, I sit there and think to myself, this is what I desire the world to look like. And so we'll get into why it doesn't look this way, but I remind people that if we're going to understand redemption and what redemption means, we need to understand what we are being redeemed to. And so if we've no grasp of what Eden looked like, what creation was designed to look like, then how can we know what our goal is or where redemption will be? And some of you are thinking, what do you mean where redemption will be? We cannot possibly come to this place of equality, of peace ever again. That is not true. Isaiah is going to prophesy that God will create a new heaven and a new earth. That idea, that concept, that prophecy comes again in Revelation. God creates a new heaven and a new earth. And in this heaven and earth, there is no more death. What we experience has passed away, and it is though we go back to the garden. Redemption restores us to this Eden moment. And so it's important that we know what we are being redeemed to, because when I look at what I seek in this world, it is to help empower redemption, empower equality, empower peace, because I think that's how we were created. And I know that when all this is said and done, God's redemption is coming, and we will be restored to the original creation. And I look forward to the glory of that day. Would you pray with me? Father, sometimes in the midst of a world that seems devoid of peace and equality, in a world that can seem much more like chaos than tranquility, sometimes, Father, it's hard to see what your promise is for us. And yet, Father, that is the goal. You, through your Son, Jesus Christ, have offered redemption. And we know, Father, that even though we still have these conflicts here on earth, you have won the war. That redemption is coming. And we look forward to that day, Father, when you make your home with us again in that new heaven, in that new earth, where there is no more death, there's no more destruction. There's just peace and tranquility in your presence. And until then, Father, may we breathe deep of that presence so we can be your presence in this world for your glory. Amen. Remember, hopefully, just for a short time longer, to stay physically distant, but please stay connected. And let's truly seek to love everybody.